Welcome to Unstoppable, where dreams turn into plans and plans turn into powerful action. Hosted by Paula Swain, financial planner, business owner, grandma, and queen of reinvention. This show is for women ready to stop surviving and start thriving. We'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll tackle the messy, beautiful, in-between parts of life that no one really talks about, but we all live through. This is Unstoppable.
Hi, and welcome to Unstoppable. I'm Paula Swain, your host and financial planner with the Financial Center for Women. So today we're going to talk about self-love, finding clarity, maybe setting some boundaries, and that internal talk that goes through your head. And I struggle with it sometimes, like this morning. But so it's always good to have some tools to help when that happens. So I want to welcome, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, but Sonna Johns she's a life coach. And so I was watching a bit of her shorts and getting some inspiration this morning. So welcome.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on the podcast, Paula. I appreciate it.
So how did you become a life coach? Because I went to a meeting yesterday and it was like a networking meeting. And like out of the 12 people who are there, I'm a life coach. I'm a life coach. I'm working on being a life coach. I mean, there's a lot of life coaches. So first of all, how did you become one? And then how do you make yourself stand out?
It's a good question about how many life coaches there are because they all have their niches and backgrounds. So we'll get to that in a minute. But the way that I started is my background from years ago is training and facilitation. I've always liked working with people, helping people. I used to coach at General Motors. I did contracted work for them. So I taught sales and presentation skills, and I did interactive coaching back then. And so throughout the years, as life happens, the relationships, a marriage that did not work, going through divorce, having to get back into the corporate world, raising two small boys as a single mom for many years, and then all of the challenges within the corporate world and also personally, and trying to manage everything, be a good mom, make a good living, pay the bills, and then try to find time for myself. And so, throughout these years, I didn't really have the tools that I have now, which we'll talk about a few. But what got me into the training or the coaching was really I wanted to give back because I found a way to get myself back on my feet again. And I had been, I had experienced burnout. I had been through a difficult divorce, like I said. And then throughout the years, I was in some relationships that weren't the healthiest as well. And then I also worked in an environment that wasn't healthy. But I didn't know all of that at this time. So over the struggles and the burnout and, losing basically my identity and losing myself in the midst of people pleasing and trying to be a good mom and trying to do great at work and please, the people at work, it just caught up to me. And I decided to take a step back. I had also gotten into a relationship that allowed me to step back for a while, which meant that I worked part-time for a while, then I resigned. And then after that, I thought, you know what? I want to give back. I really want to help people because I had gone through my own coaching, therapy, spiritual practices, all types of teachings and workshops, and really did a lot of work. And I wanted to give back. So I got, accreditation in my coaching. And I decided to take all the wisdom and all of the knowledge from the corporate world and being a mom and losing my identity and the lack of self-love and the people pleasing and, package it all up into a bundle and get back out there and start coaching. And what happened is I was coaching actually before the quarantine. And then when the quarantine hit, that's when my business really was built up because a lot of the people were stuck at home and people needed coaching. So that's an overview of the main reason, but I had also gone through some major life changes by leaving a relationship right before quarantine. So there's a lot of components here that led me to where I am today. So
I hear everything you're saying and have experience, except in the corporate world, because I own my own business, but everything that you just talked about. And it's just not me and you. There are probably millions of women out there that have experienced the same thing that we're talking about today. And I
Yes.
know that I, through the quarantine period of time, was going through a divorce. And
Ah,
through that, I had to find the number one thing was self-love and trying to learn how to love myself because of all the things that happened to me in the past and how I felt unlovable and unworthy. And I had to start there. And the first tool I used was Louise Hay, her mirror
mhm.
work. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
I am. Yes.
21 days of like looking in the mirror at
Hmm.
yourself and saying, I love you, which was so difficult, but eventually it did kick in. So do you have tools like that?
I do. And a lot of the tools I learned was really in quarantine because I was in, isolation for almost 3, maybe 4 months. And I learned a lot of meditational practices. A lot of intentional setting intentions in the morning was really one of the things that really helped me. I still do that today. I mean, there's so many practices, but I guess to back up a little, it's all about going within when we go through these healing journeys, or if it's a life change, whether it's a breakup or a divorce or even changing jobs or a loss of someone in our life. It's all about going within. And what I realize is that it's all about self-love. All of it is the foundation of everything. The relationship that we have with ourselves really determines the relationship that we have from there on out, basically. So if we don't learn to love ourselves from within, and that means accepting our flaws and accepting our weaknesses, and also celebrating our strengths and really focusing on our strengths and focusing on our uniqueness, right? And a lot of us don't do that because we're too worried about people pleasing and looking this way and doing this and doing that. And, we get so caught up in the external. And the most important thing is really the internal first, because once you master, or even in the process of mastering your internal world, everything else seems to fall in place. Your self-love, you feel empowered, and miracles start to find you when you're in that energy. Now, it is a little bit of a process. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, but if you have the intention of wanting to do it, you can.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it happened overnight. It'd be nice if you woke
Yes.
up tomorrow morning and go, oh, wow, I love myself. And here we
Mhm.
go. But it is a lot of work. I know it was a lot of tears, but it is
It's
really
a
worth
journey.
it.
It's a journey,
It's
and we have to look at it as a journey and not a destination. And over time, it gets to be fun at times, honestly, because if you conquer something, like let's say you start setting boundaries where you never did before, you start setting time aside for yourself and honoring yourself like you never did before. Those things are so empowering, and that gives us energy. It makes us vibrant. It gives us vitality. But most of us, and myself included, I didn't know where to begin.
Let's talk about boundaries for a second. I think that's really difficult for a lot of people because a lot of as women, we're nurturing roles and we want to make everybody happy. First you want to make your parents happy, being the good daughter, and then maybe a good wife. Some people don't choose not to get married. I mean, there's so many roles or have kids, but we're always wanting to take care of others, and we stop taking care of ourselves a lot. So how do we say, you know what? Nope, that crosses something that I'm comfortable with. How do I set them, and then how do you hold them?
Mm.
That's the harder part, I think.
Right. Well, consistency is key with everything. You have to want it. You have to want to change and become more connected to yourself first. You have to realize that, okay, the pressures are too great. The stressors are getting the best of me. My health is failing, which happened to me when I was working in the corporate world. My health was starting to unravel. And I finally said, oh my God, like what's happening here? And I found that there was less joy in my life. So it's first you have to want it, then you have to make time for it. And even if it's just an increment of time every day, I know people are busy. I know. But we're talking, it could start with 10 minutes a morning. Really. I mean, when I'm coaching people, I have, we do this journal together where they have things that they look at every morning in their intentions or their meditation or their prayer time. And this takes maybe to go over it, maybe, once you've written it all out, maybe 3 minutes, right? So 3 minutes. And then you take some time to just sit with yourself, do a brief meditation. Maybe you go for a walk outside if you can. If you can't, just sitting and breathing into your body and being still and connecting to yourself, to God, source, universe, however you see that, and taking that time. And it starts with literally just 10 minutes a day can be life-changing. Now, obviously, you can increase it over time, but people that I have worked with have found that just those practices in the morning, and then they may even do it at work. So if they're really stressed out at work, they may take 10 minutes to just, close the door, do some breathing, connect to themselves, and, have that actually carries them through the day. So just these little increments of time for ourselves. And then over time, we learn to balance. Like, okay, on the weekend, I'm going to look forward to this, and I'm going to do this for myself. And I'm going to do my practices. I'd like to say do it 5 days, but let's say you do it 3 or 4 days. You do what you can and what works for you. There's really no right or wrong. It's really what works for you and how you are led. And when I say led, what is your intuition telling you? What is your body telling you?
I did that right before I came to the studio today to record, as I took 15 minutes to calm my mind, relax me, set my intentions for this afternoon and the recordings that we would be doing today. And it really helps me. It keeps me grounded. And
it does.
You could just feel your body just start to relax. And you brought up a word that I had to learn to listen to, was my intuition. Like you forget that the things that are going on in your gut or something just doesn't feel right. That's your body telling you, hey, listen to me. This isn't right. So talk a little bit more about intuition.
Well, our intuition is really the most powerful asset that we have, and we all have it. It's just some people take more time to tap into it. Some people are more present where they can listen to it. And many of us are so busy that we don't even know we have it. But when we take the time, like I said, getting in stillness, getting out in nature, taking a walk, breathing, taking some time to breathe, we can actually connect with our intuition. Now, we don't always have to connect that way, but that is a good way to ground and center, like you just said. But then you'll find as you start those practices and you start to honor yourself, your energy, and start to love who you are and how you are taking this time for yourself, then you will start to become more intuitive as time goes on. Now, there are intuitive practices that I teach in my coaching, ways to enhance your intuition, ways to really connect with yourself, but it will increase over time through presence. So when I say through presence, when we are scattered, when we have 5 million things going on and we're being pulled in 10 different directions, it's hard to always listen to our inner voice or our inner compass. But our inner self is really guiding us all the time if we listen to it. And it's very, very powerful because you can use it in your relationships. You can use it in, business situations. You can really use it even when you're out on the road or you're at a function or a party or wherever. And once you start to build that relationship with yourself, which is what the crux of my work is, you start to feel empowered because you start to listen to yourself. Because most women don't trust themselves. We doubt ourselves. We make a decision and we doubt ourselves. And we walk away and we say, oh my God, why did I say that? Like, why didn't I handle that differently? And so we beat ourselves up. So when we learn to, exactly. So when we learn to really honor ourselves and tap into our intuition, that makes it a lot easier where we can accept, hey, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. And I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, I that took me a long time to finally grasp that concept that things were happening inside of me that said, where you get that little pit in your stomach and you're like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. And then you start to look at it and go, I don't know, maybe I'm just worried, maybe it's fear, but it really is your gut telling you, hey, pay attention. Let's go back to presence. That I think is really you got to make a practice of it, and you have to put down your phone, and you have to actually engage, look at people in the eyes, look at your grandchildren, be with your children. And with our world today, everything is so phone driven, TV watching, video game playing, that it's really difficult to learn. I think took me a while to get it, but I did get it, to be present in that moment.
Presence is power. It truly is. It's really where the real power is. And what I mean by that is when we take time to be present and we do these practices that allow us to be present. And by the way, these practices teach us to be responsive to life and not reactive. That's a big one. We don't want to react to life. We want to respond to life, because it's all in how we handle a situation instead of actually being charged from a situation. So when we do these practices and we spend time with ourselves, we learn to really trust ourselves, be present. And then in that presence, you're able to really hone in on the present moment, like what is happening in the moment, whether you're with a loved one, your grandkids, a friend, even a business situation. I mean, it helps in business too. When you're fully present in your work with your clients, it's huge. It's huge. Because it's like listening on steroids. It's like, I never really used that term before, but it kind of came to mind. It's like listening and being fully present with that person. And there's no greater gift that we can give someone than presence, because people want to be heard, they want to be felt, and they want to be understood. So presence is power.
It is like, you see, families out to dinner and everybody's on their phone and nobody's communicating. And sometimes you just want to walk over and go, can I have your phones until you leave so that you can
Yes.
communicate?
So
Just
you have
communicate.
to set a boundary.
Yeah.
You have to set a boundary with that. You have to, you're at the dinner table, you put your phone in the other room or turn it on silent. And, if you're out for dinner, I'm a big advocate. Do not have, be checking your phone every minute at dinner. I mean, you have to kind of set these intentions before this, happens, whether it's a dinner or a function or something like that. And it's all about just being mindful. It's being mindful. Okay, what do I need to do? How can I be fully present in this next situation that I'm going in?
It takes practice. It definitely takes
it totally
practice.
does. I mean, this is life mastery. This is self-mastery. And it's a process, but it works. And as long as you're aware, because awareness is key, as long as you are aware and you are mindful, anybody can do it. It just takes practice every day. And you get better and better every day. And sometimes it just becomes a default. Every now and then you'll mess up. I messed up yesterday in a situation. It's not like me. I wasn't really thinking straight. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I chose to not beat myself up. And I said, you know what is the lesson in this? How can I learn from the situation? And how can I slow down to choose differently next time this happens?
Okay, you bring up another great point. So I think I'm just kind of like you're leading me right into different questions, which is great. That means it's a good conversation. Good. So let's talk about lessons. I think I was listening to a short that you had about, you don't like the word failure, but it was about mistakes, but from mistakes is where you learn the lesson. Did I get that correct?
Yes. I mean, there's really no failures. I guess you could say they're mistakes, but everything is a lesson if we choose to see it like that. And when we choose to see it as growth and lessons, we neutralize the emotions and the feelings, and we gain more acceptance within ourselves, because we know that this is something that we need to learn.
And I think the lessons keep coming until you learn it. So if you...
Oh, yes.
And they just keep getting stronger and stronger.
The universe will keep nudging you. And I do think it's really important that I bring this up, because it's so important. When you say that it'll keep coming up, it will keep showing up, and it shows up in the most mysterious ways. And a lot of times it shows up in our body. So for anybody listening, if you have chronic pain, if you have something that's happening that's out of the ordinary, whatever, a lot of the emotions that we store, a lot of the traumas that we store, which is another topic, obviously, but past traumas and things like that, or difficult relationships, toxicity, all of that stuff can accumulate over time in the body. And sometimes the universe, God, is saying, okay, this is showing up. How am I going to get your attention? You didn't listen to me last time, so I think I'm going to get your attention this time. And as crazy as it sounds, I'm telling you, this is the way it works.
Oh, I've experienced that. I have experience. I had recently just gone through a situation where I didn't have my boundaries correct. I wasn't following my intuition, and I could feel someone, like I was working on releasing it, and I could, it was the weirdest thing. I was working on this meditation on release to finally remove this person, give it to God, do all those things that I needed to do. And it was the weirdest experience. I just started crying. My belly was just shaking like this. Like I'd never experienced something like that. And then all of a sudden, it was gone. And it was like whatever I was holding onto in my body, because I truly believe that you hold on to it, finally released. And I was able to actually just go ahead and move forward. But I had to get it out of my body. I had to get that trauma out.
What led you to do that, Paula? What led you to say, I need to release this?
I learn it from, learn it. That's not a really good word. I have poor English, but from my past experiences and the growth that I search out so much knowledge. And so I've come to learn that what you just said, that everything gets stored in your body. It could be an illness or just an ache that you have or a pain in your neck. It could be just, it's because you're holding on to something. And when I know that, I get to a point where I know, okay, I gotta get rid of this. And I know it's somewhere in my body. I just don't know where. I don't know how to explain it. I just know. And I know that I have to release it.
You just know. And it's really important. I wanted you to say that because it's really your higher self or your intuition guiding you. And sometimes we don't even know why we do certain things that we do, but you were being led to release it. And you were ready, because if you had the emotion of, the crying and the shaking and the release, you definitely released something. And I also believe that, you hand it over to God for sure. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. And your intention of wanting to release that and even saying the words will help to release it from your body. Now, sometimes it doesn't always happen in the one time. You may have to do it. Someone may have to do it, several days in a row or something.
I had to do it more than once, but but I finally truly released it. And
yeah, that's great. I love that. I love that you did that, and I love that you helped to release and heal your body.
So a client of mine, she was in a really bad marriage and horrific divorce. And she was starting to realize, she just had chronic pain throughout her body, and she just didn't feel good. And, she was lethargic, and she didn't realize until after the divorce, all of that just kind of let go. So it was, her body was telling her, get out. And like you said, if you don't, I'm going to force you out. And, I'm going to make you ill. And when she's as soon as it was over, she started to notice that the pain lessened and lessened. And, she started grounding herself and coming back to herself. And now all the things that were ailing her are gone.
It's so true. And I also experienced what she did as well. As I was in a relationship that wasn't for my highest good, we'll say. And God just kept getting my attention, and it was really through my body. So that's when I finally listened, and I knew that I had to leave the situation. So it's, I know it's not always easy for people to do that. I mean, people try to find ways to make it work and this and that. But when it's truly toxic or it's unhealthy for you or you're really feeling it in your body, we really need to make a decision for ourselves, because our health is the number one most important thing. Our well-being and our health is everything. It's everything.
Well, I've had guests on, we've talked about this subject before, and I think it's like I couldn't accept it at first. Like, people call the things that I do, because they're non-traditional ways of healing, like my woohoo stuff. And so, but it really does work.
Authentic to you.
It really does
Nothing
work.
wrong with it.
No, and if anybody out there is struggling with something, start to listen to your body and figure out what it's trying to tell you. I'm living proof. I have friends that are living proof. There's just it works, but you have to be able to reach out. Reach out to a coach, reach out to you, say, hey, help me. Because there's a lot of resources out there, and just go ahead and put yourself first.
Yes.
Put yourself first.
It's just about getting the support and the tools. Yeah. And then like you do things on your own. It's learning those things, and then you're on your own. Like the people that I've coached have the tools, and I get messages all the time of some of their challenges and how they are working through them. The tools that you gave me, oh my gosh, like I know exactly what to do. And, that's what it's all about. It's really giving people the tools and the practices and the knowing of what to do next, because it's not something that we're taught when we grow up. We're not taught that in the family system. You know what I mean? We're just not.
No, I think there's so much new healing methods out there that I just have become aware when I started to go through my divorce, and I completely felt broken. And so I just was on the internet, on YouTube, just trying to find anything that I could to make me feel better. And they worked. I didn't have to go sit in therapy and relive my past over and over and over again. I worked with a life coach, and we said, okay, this is your past, fine, we'll deal with it, but we're going to put a path moving forward. And I'm assuming that's what you do with your clients. It's like, yes, we know things happened to you in the past, but what's the plan we can get for you to release that so you can move forward and have the life that you choose?
Yes, I do believe I am kind of a strong advocate on doing a little bit of inner family systems work. Now, I always meet the client where they are, wherever they are and where they want to move forward. But most people that have come to me have something that's unresolved, some unresolved trauma or unresolved acceptance of something that's happened in their past. Some of them don't even know what it is, but through even one session, we can unveil a lot. And it's really about just knowing and understanding and accepting. And then once you kind of understand why you do the things you do, or why you've reacted the way you have in life, or why you've chosen the wrong partners in life, you can start to say, oh, okay, I get it. I got it. This isn't really something that I chose. It's something from my surroundings when I was a child, right? So that's a whole other topic, obviously. But I do like to do a little bit of that. And then we move forward. Okay, so where are we now? And what's most important to you moving forward? Is it, spirituality? Is it mindfulness? Is it self-love? Is it balance? Like, where do we focus? And we kind of put this roadmap together. And then a lot of my sessions are more intuitively guided. So I do have a structure, but I'll be honest, a lot of times I'm just led in a certain direction, or I allow the client to really lead as to what their soul really needs at that time.
I love that. And I got another show idea. You're coming back. I hope so. And we're going to talk about picking the wrong relationship and why lots of times we do it more than once, twice, 3 times.
It took me half my life. I'm not kidding, Paula. It took me half my life to figure it out. But you got to remember, there's more information available to us now. There's more healers and teachers and spiritual practices and meditations, and there's more awareness out there now. But 10, 15 years ago, I didn't know what I know now. And I was one of those people that I was in unhealthy relationships, but you don't really know it sometime until you start to really look within.
Right.
That's why it's so important to do this work.
You don't. And the work is so powerful when you start to learn more and more about yourself and you're like, oh, that's
Yeah.
why I chose him. I was trying to fix this, but I can't fix that. I can
Right.
just
Or that's why I
take care of
put up with
myself.
that. How
Yeah,
did I tolerate that? Like, what was I
I
thinking?
know.
Now I know why I tolerated it, or why did I stay small in that situation? Why did I allow somebody to take my power away? Like, I know who I am. I know how powerful I am, you know? It's like
Yeah.
all those aha moments that you think, wow, now I know why I did it. It's usually based on our inner family systems, you know, what happened as a child. Sometimes it's later. Like a lot of my trauma happened in my teen years. You know, I was bullied and, you know, school and stuff like that. And obviously there were other things as well, but everybody has their own stuff, if you will.
Mhm.
Everybody's journey is different and we all have different lessons to learn, but it usually comes down to one thing. And you know what it is? It's self-love.
Yes, right where we started, and we do have
Yes.
to end. So I
Okay.
would love to have you back. I think there's a lot more that we can talk about. So if
I'd love
anybody
to.
wants to reach out to you, how would they get a hold of you?
The best way to reach out to me is at Sonna Life Coach on Instagram. So it's Sonna Life Coach, or on LinkedIn as well. But I'm a little bit more active on Instagram. I do have a Facebook, but again, Instagram is my main platform. So it's at Sonna Life Coach. So yes, love to hear from you. And I do, you know, complimentary discovery sessions. And yeah, I'd love that.
I think no matter where you are in life, working with a coach is just, can propel you into the next phase of your life. It's a huge, there's a bunch of tools out there. And if you're sitting here and you're thinking anything like we just talked about, because her life and my life pretty much are the same when it comes to how we felt about ourselves, even though our upbringings were totally different. So reach out, and just one small change could possibly make huge differences in your life. So thanks for tuning in. This has been Unstoppable. See you
Thank you
next
so
week.
much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So much fun. Take care.
Thanks for watching Unstoppable. Do you have a question for Paula? Send it our way. To schedule a one-on-one consultation, give us a call. Unstoppable is brought to you by Paula Swain and the Financial Center for Women. Dream, grow, thrive.